have to change the camera angle. Well, that's turns the point where Chaz is then to come here, right? Or come I will have to change the camera angle. Well, that's turns the point where Chaz is then to come here, right? Or I will have to change the camera angle. I will have to change the camera angle. I will have to change the camera angle. I will have to change the camera.
Oh, in the middle. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is our third public meeting for the Miracle Mile Initiative. Appreciate your time, appreciate you being here, and also just want to acknowledge and say thank you to our ad hoc work group and all of our subcommittee members from the public who've been working tirelessly to come up with ideas, recommendations, suggestions, direction for the city to move forward on how to revitalize the Miracle Mile. And to get started, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Giuseppe Nespoli. I'm with Value Management Strategies, joined by Linda Chia, who's also with VMS. And we were brought on by Caltrans to help support this particular part, the ad hoc effort of the Miracle Mile project. And so before we begin, we are going to go over some housekeeping and some logistics before the infamous gavel gets tapped and the meeting actually begins. But for all of you, for safety and knowing how to navigate this space, emergency exits out this door or out that way and to the right gets you back out to the streets and will get you to the parking lot. Restrooms just out this door and down the hall. If you are watching us on YouTube and you are in your home, you probably know where the restrooms are better than us. And for the safety and security of your vehicles, in about the next 15 or 20 minutes, the gate will be locked if you parked in the parking lot. But even if the gate is closed, if you choose to leave early, the gate will open automatically if you pull your car up to the gate. So you'll be able to exit at any time you'd like to. So I would like to ask all of you to take a second and look around the room at each person that is here. Sitting in seats next to you, sitting at the front at the podium. All of you here, and we have started every meeting like this, all of you here are here because you care about the Miracle Mile. You care about the safety of the people that patron the mile. You care about the people who work there, and want all of us, when it's an opportunity to share or speak or provide comments, that you keep that in mind, that we are all here, everyone is here, because they care, and they care deeply. And so I just want to acknowledge that and why you showed up and why everyone sitting up here is here, that we are trying to make a difference. And so when we have the opportunity to have public comments later on, we ask that it is constructive and keeping in mind that everyone is here to make a difference. And so I am going to hand the floor over to Linda to go over some other housekeeping before we do begin our meeting.
Thank you, Joey. Once again, my name is Linda Chia with VMS, and I'm here to support with the facilitation of tonight's meeting. To set the tone for tonight, I will start with the Caltrans non-discrimination policy. The California Department of Transportation, under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, ensures no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to the discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Caltrans will make every effort to ensure non-discrimination in all of its services, programs, and activities, whether they are federally funded or not, and that services and benefits are fairly distributed to all people regardless of race, color, or national origin. In addition, Caltrans will facilitate meaningful participation in the transportation planning process in a non-discriminatory manner. Related federal statutes, remedies, and state law further those protections to include sex, disability, religion, sexual orientation, and age. For more information, please follow the contact information displayed on the screen. As a reminder, this meeting will be streaming live on YouTube. So for our YouTube audience, you're welcome to join in and share questions in the chat available to you there. For those of you who are joining in person, we do have Hilda Sousa, our Community Engagement Program Manager with Caltrans District 10 here for Spanish translation. So if you need any translation, Hilda, would you please stand up so our audience know who to contact? Thank you. If you have any questions or translation questions there, Hilda is your person. And for more information on the Miracle Mile project, you are welcome to scan the QR code there or send in questions or comments to Stockton Miracle Mile at dot.ca.gov. Thank you.
Kevin, you want to tap away?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kevin Doherty. I'm co-chair of the Miracle Mile Ad Hoc Committee, along with my co-chair, Gene Callahan, and the rest of our committee of the work group. Want to gavel to order. This is the third of 4 public meetings for the Miracle Mile Ad Hoc Work Group to gather feedback from the public. Also to provide you with us reporting out from all of our main committee and our subcommittee work product that we have to date. The purpose within our charter is for the ad hoc work group to provide direction to the city of Stockton on how to transform the Miracle Mile into a safe, vibrant, and economically robust district that will be a premier Central Valley destination for residents, visitors, students, and new business enterprises. We want to acknowledge our planning team and ad hoc work group. Specifically, I'd like to acknowledge and mention Assembly Member Carlos Villapudawa and his office, Chief of Staff Israel Landa. I want to acknowledge Caltrans as a large planning partner, since they're the purse, and especially recognize Sylvia Dyack and Mark Samuelson. I want to acknowledge San Joaquin County Office, San Joaquin County Council of Government. And I want to acknowledge the city of Stockton, Harry Black, the city manager, and Chad Reed, not interim any longer. Congratulations, the new public director for the city of Stockton. Yes, congratulations. Let's give him a little hand here. So I want to thank the audience that's public, that's in person, I should say. Thank you for being here, and for all those on live streaming. I'll give you a quick meeting overview for this evening. During this evening's meeting, we will share our progress to date on the work being done by the ad hoc work group and subcommittees. Have the subcommittees present concepts that will be further researched and developed. We will have time for public comments for everyone in person and virtually. Then we will conclude with next steps, outlining the ad hoc's work, the City of Stockton's process for bidding and awarding this project, and the funds transfer from Caltrans to the city for the money allocated from Assembly Bill 179. I also want to thank again the way that bill was structured. It could have been written in such a way that the money eventually would get transferred through a funds transfer agreement to the City of Stockton, and we'd read about progress in the paper. But instead, because of the leadership of our assembly member and with Caltrans cooperation, The bill was written such a way that there would be the establishment of a work group of citizens' voices, and you're looking at those voices as your representatives, and we're listening to what you have to say as we work through this process. So we really appreciate the fact that we're a voice and ultimately recommending how this $20+ million will be spent on the Miracle Mile. Thank you again. Okay, next we're going to have a roll call, and I'm going to ask Jean to do that.
So in accordance with the charter that was approved at the first meeting, we have community representation on the ad hoc group that is representative of quite a few different stakeholders. So as I read your name off, if you would raise your hand so that we can do roll call, and maybe Linda, you keeping exact notes so we actually have a formal record just in case. Perfect, thank you. The assembly member, Carlos, thank you. Representing residents of Miracle Mile, so folks that are within a 5-mile radius. We have Chip Hanker. Okay, we have Philip Herrera. We have Ted Leland, we do not. We have Howard. Thank you. We have Jeff Gamboni.
Present.
Thank you. Representing business owners with property on Miracle Mile and member of the Miracle Mile Improvement District, we have Kevin Doherty, my co-chair. Representing business owners with no property on Miracle Mile and a member of the Miracle Mile Improvement District, we have Jonathan Hernandez.
Present.
Thank you. Representing Miracle Mile business owner who is not part of the Miracle Mile Improvement District, Joanne Chappelle? Nope. Representing commercial property owner with no business on Miracle Mile, Rex?
Here.
Great. Representing the University of the Pacific? Yes. Representing Delta College? Perfect. Representing developers?
Here.
Great. Representing local service clubs, Diane Lowry?
Present.
Thank you. Representing architects, civil engineers, traffic engineers, or land use and urban planners, we have Paris Allen? Here. Yes, and Carrie Sullivan, who I believe is participating via YouTube. Cyclists who commute to the mile, we have Jerry. Anna, is Jerry here tonight? No. Stockton Chamber of Commerce representative, Dwight Williams? Here. Thank you. And the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, Les Fong? No, okay. We do still have one seat remaining for folks who would be representing farmers market. So if you have any representatives that would like to participate and to wear that stakeholder hat, please let us know. So progress to date. As we've talked about in previous public meetings, we are following what's known as value methodology, which has quite a few different distinct phases. It starts with learning and then goes to brainstorming, evaluating, and developing concepts. And those concepts turn into reality that we will then bring to the city, and they will take those ideas out to bid and then bring them to full fruition with construction. So members of this ad hoc work group that you have in front of you have spent a lot of time over the last few months learning best practices and standards for street design. We are by no means an expert, but we are a lot smarter than we were just a few months ago. We have representatives from Caltrans who have gone into even further detail than they did at the first public meeting, for any of you who attended, to help us understand what active transportation plans look like. And we've had case studies that were presented to us by public officials from a handful of cities in the area. From Livermore, who went through a lot of transformation about 20 years ago, from planners from Little Italy and San Diego, from Mobility Designs from the city of Santa Monica, and the Improvement District for San Diego's gas lamp quarter. Members of this ad hoc committee have also done a lot of other independent research looking at other community improvement districts and some of the revitalizations that have happened there. So trying to bring a lot of best practices to Stockton and to Miracle Mile. The ad hoc work group has participated in a walking tour of the Miracle Mile to observe the current conditions. We've done that a few times. And also members also walked through Minor Avenue to compare a recent city design and what the dollars were able to materialize. We've been brainstorming a lot of ideas. We shared some of those with you at the last public meeting in December. And We've heard from the public and brought some of those ideas back to the subcommittees, and they were evaluated. We launched 6 subcommittees from this ad hoc group and then invited the public to participate in those subcommittees. We took each of the ideas that were presented and evaluated all of them against a set of criteria. Aesthetics, what's the aesthetic appeal to Miracle Mile? Alignment, an assessment of how well Miracle Mile meets the objectives outlined in the legislation, how well the idea would meet the objectives. Connectivity, the degree to which Miracle Mile contributed to the overall connectivity with the community, be it transportation and the businesses. Functionality, the quality of the operations within the overall purpose to support economic development and pedestrian-centric movement for all modes of transportation. And then maintainability, the impact to long-term maintenance. Can we continue build something that looks great, and how can we maintain it for the long term? The evaluated list that is available in tonight's meeting materials includes what the subcommittees are going to further research. The subcommittee chairs will highlight a few of those key concepts tonight, and you'll have the opportunity to respond to the full list with any questions or comments during the public comment time following each of the subcommittee presentations. But before we hear from the subcommittees, if you are a member of the public and are serving on one of the subcommittees, please stand up to be recognized so that we can thank you for all the work that you've given us. Definitely takes a village. So now we would like to start with our Business Development Subcommittee, and I will transition to Kevin, and he'll walk us through some of their key ideas.
Thank you very much, Jean. Business development was very important. There was a lot of discussion because when we get to this, there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of things we need to do for business to make sure that our patrons and our business development within the Miracle Mile, our businesses function and move forward even with construction. So the first of many, there were many things to discuss. One of the first things that we had discussed in business development, and let me go through what the business development is. So the business subcommittee, the business development subcommittee, oversaw the ideas that are related to enhancing the facades of the business, to upgrade and support placemaking, creating incentives and programs to support individual businesses, overall business growth, and diversification to drive more of a robust center. So more of a walkable district, as we've all been talking about and expressed. One of the first things that had the most discussion with the group and our subcommittee group was adding a farmer's market in the Miracle Mile footprint, and we discussed various locations such as Tuxedo Court, which is there in a nice area, and then you can come out with the Miracle Mile. There was a Caldwell Park discussion, various parking lots or other. I think the most important is to realize is that our area and the neighbors and the homes in the Miracle Mile, it's already set up. We can come out of our homes. Many of you who live in the Miracle Mile, come out of your homes, walk around the district, and you're ready to go. And there's a lot of homes in that area that can subsidize and be ready for that farmer's market. So we thought that was a great thing to talk about in the future. Next, insurance support of business to support the businesses during construction with appropriate signage, detours, compensate businesses if closing required during construction. Basically, how to navigate through the business structure, through the businesses and through the Miracle Mile when construction happens. There's going to be roads and streets and different things that we're going to see, and that are going to be broken streets. We've got to figure out a way with the business development and our patrons and the neighbors, how we're going to navigate, make sure it's safe for our patrons, and make sure it's safe for the neighborhood, and make sure it's safe for our business and for students that walk down to the Miracle Mile. So it's very important going forward. Another thing that was discussed was this was very important because this is where we get the community and schools involved, college students, business development more. Establish and fund a physical location on the Miracle Mile with utilities. Develop an entrepreneurial center on the Miracle Mile focused on attracting new businesses, providing consultation services, and ensure businesses are successful and open. Market property vacancies. So many times, people will call maybe one of us or maybe one of you and say, hey, what's going on in the Miracle Mile? What's open? And there's different things. And so unless we have a set structure or a binder that says this is what's open, this is our square footage, this is what we're doing, things like that are going to be very important to the future of the Miracle Mile and what comes down to the Miracle Mile and what we're looking for. What are you looking for to open up a business? Explore public and private partnerships, such as colleges, university. We might want an internship with Pacific to work out of the business school to help us with that. It could be an internship. It could be any of those things that we're going to work with. Seek additional federal, state, city funding for more needed infrastructure. For example, grants. From this, we have the money, of course. We need more money, so we're going to be requiring grants. And grants can subsidize things like this. Another thing was very important, and if you look up, defined standard core business hours and days open for all businesses on the Miracle Mile. Define a plan to gain support for this initiative. Financial incentive, marketing of business. Basically, consistency of hours of operation. Many times, maybe you go to a business and they're closed or not open yet, and you're like, well, when are they open? And the hours aren't posted. So we want to be more consistent with those things for the business development area. It's good for the patron, it's good for the business owner, it's good for the Miracle Mile. All right. And one of the last things, I did an extra because I thought this was very important. If you look at the signage, you'll see maybe some of you might recognize that sign. Under the soffits on the Miracle Mile, it would be very nice to have black metal hanging sign that you can see right here, perpendicular with the buildings, to make it easier to identify the buildings. Install on the Miracle Mile for placemaking, and we can get into placemaking. Someone's going to be discussing that. But it's going to be very important as we move forward to know where you're walking, know where you're headed, and for the visibility of the patrons and the business development area and the neighbors. And that's the most important things that we had discussed. There's a lot more, but in lieu of time, we're going to move on to the next. But I want to thank all of the people that participate in the business development. There's more discussion and more fun to be had with this topic. So thank you all. We're going to move on to the next. Jean?
Great. Hi, I'm Paris Allen, a designer at LDA Partners, an architecture firm on the Miracle Mile. And so I'm the chair for the Civil Improvement Subcommittee. So we've been focused on ideas that are related to traffic calming, street improvements, crosswalks, sidewalks, and parking, with a focus largely on pedestrian safety and walkability. I'd like to acknowledge everyone that participated in the subcommittee. The community involvement brought a lot, not just energy and ideas, but expertise as well, which is greatly appreciated. So the first idea, so again, it's just a few ideas out of a very long list, and these were the concepts that I think gained a lot of popularity within our subcommittee and just excitement, but also felt would make a really huge impact. So the first idea we're looking at is adding bulb outs at crosswalks. So that's essentially just the curb extension at a corner that gets your pedestrian closer out towards where the vehicular traffic is, so they're more visible. So it shortens your crossing distance, can improve accessibility, and then just increases your visibility from cars that are coming through. So the next idea is larger sidewalks. So this would be both for an enhanced pedestrian experience and then potential space for businesses to expand into the sidewalk or have some sort of pop-up or an extension of a market that might be happening. A lot to support business development, but also give more space for landscaping for an enhanced pedestrian experience. Next idea would be incorporating a flex zone. So this is a space that can be whatever we need it to be in the future. So it's a flexible space. If we need parking, it can be parking. If a business wants to have some extra outdoor dining that they can't accommodate on their lot of land, it could be that, or even just a parklet, a place for the community benefit as well. Next idea is the narrowing and reducing of lanes potentially, all the way from where UOP might be to essentially Harding. So it's gradual traffic calming to transition from what's a very vehicular based road to what we want to be a pedestrian oriented area. So that it doesn't feel all of a sudden like you have to slow down. It should feel natural from a driver's perspective as well. All right, the last idea is, so road design is using a chicane or a small, a median island or a traffic circle to create a lane shift, which gradually slows down traffic and creates an environment potentially for some sort of feature as well. We'll talk more about that when we get to placemaking. But that just creates a little bit of an indicator, like, okay, you're entering a more pedestrian-oriented area as a driver. So that's all I've got. So we're gonna pass it to community engagement with Johnny.
Thank you, Paris.
Uh-huh.
First, thank you to all the volunteers that met with us over the last couple of months. It was a really great experience to sit with you guys and to learn more about your involvement in the community. So I just want to say thank you again, because that was a really awesome experience. Community engagement was a subcommittee that was dedicated to ensuring all who are invested in the Miracle Mile engage in the decision process before, during, and after the Miracle Mile revitalization project. So basically everybody that's here is a part of that, right, in theory, and all the neighbors on the Miracle Mile as well. The five major things that came up in our discussion, and there's a lot of them, you can see, if you want to scroll through it, you can look at, on your own time, but the five major ones was create a student survey for both UOP and Delta students, so we can get have some insight regarding what they'd like to see on the Miracle Mile, right? Because we have a lot of students, and we don't have a lot of visitors from the colleges. We have some, but not a lot. We could have a lot more. And the other one was celebrate our neighborhoods that are surrounding the Miracle Mile with the banner program. If you drive down the Miracle Mile, you probably see it already. You'll see like a banner that goes across where La Palma's at to the Garden Flare store. And so there's a banner that's there, or was there. But working on that and doing that more often would be something that we'd like to see, and that's what a lot of folks want to see us celebrate the neighborhoods, as well as the banners that you see on the post when you're driving down the Miracle Mile, when there's holidays or events events coming up, things of that nature. And third is adding a local signboard, so we can have local interest peaked and give a place for people to see upcoming events. Everybody uses QR codes nowadays, so we were thinking about using a QR code, making it more accessible, creating a new method of communication so we can develop a directory for all the businesses on the mile. Next, we want to encourage music pop-ups. That kind of plays into the farmers markets, plays into the events, the holidays. We've had some stuff on the Miracle Mile and recently, and they turned out to be pretty successful. We believe that it can be more successful. So doing some music pop-ups at various locations, whether it's Tuxedo, maybe a Castle, or further down, further south. And then lastly, we want to encourage University of Pacific Homecoming Parade on the Miracle Mile. It'd be nice to have something of that, nice to have that participation from the colleges. And I know since UOP is the closest to us, that's the one that people were inclined to bring up. So, and that's pretty much it. Thank you, guys. To mobility, okay.
So, I am going to step in because the person is not here that was the chair of that committee. And I did attend one of their meetings and appreciated the people involved, the participants, both folks that are on our committee as well as public members. that participated, so thank you very much. Okay, the mobility subcommittee focuses on ideas specific to bicyclists, pedestrians, transit, and other modes of transportation to and from the Miracle Mile. It's about making the Miracle Mile easy and safe, not only to experience, but to get to and from. So we'll stick with our top 5 is what we're doing this evening, all of the subcommittees. Our top 5 ideas and initiatives are as follows. First and foremost probably is to add bike lanes along Pacific Avenue. What level and where will get further vetted in next development phase. So we're still developing the idea, but what we know we want to do is improve cycling to the Miracle Mile. Add bike parking along Pacific Avenue or on the side streets near Pacific intersection. On the Classic Mile, we want to encourage getting off bikes, securing, locking them up, and walking. So that idea needs to be incorporated into how we're developing the bike lanes to get us to the Miracle Mile and beyond. Our third top idea, explicitly improve routes and wayfinding between the different campuses and the Miracle Mile. We need better wayfinding for connecting paths and parking and locking up. So it's going to be important for us to create those wayfinding signs so that the public will know where different public facilities are located, parking, storage facilities, and being able to easily lock up their bikes or personal mobility appliances. Item 4, idea 4, finish Alpine Complete Streets program to connect to Pacific Avenue. This is an initiative that the city's been working on for some time. The Complete Streets study, Pacific Avenue Complete Streets Corridor study is one of the highest priority projects from the Bicycle Master Plan and should address the varying cross sections from Harding Way to Lower Sacramento Road. Pacific Avenue Corridor is a key north-south facility, and it is identified by the city of Stockton as a priority measure of putting money towards addressing improvements for better traversing the city on a north-south basis. So we have high expectations since the city already has this as an initiative that we can speed it along and advocate as part of our ad hoc group. And number 5, add additional bus stops along Pacific Avenue. We've been informed by the transit district that the most heavily public transit route is Pacific Avenue. And so we've identified some alternative additional stops that we're going to be talking to Rapid Transit about through the city as they're designing improved bus line to the across Pacific Avenue. One last item I want to mention, kind of as a bonus, is, and I think this is a thread that should go through all the mobility, and that is a multimodal safety education campaign. We want to encourage development of a sustained multimodal safety education campaign using social media, online video, bus shelters, yard signs, bumper stickers, radio messages, and billboard ads. One of the major issues identified by the community was a need to educate drivers on proper behavior with bicyclists to maximize safety for all roadway users. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Hi, Paris again. So I'm going to be presenting on placemaking. Our chair for placemaking was unable to make it tonight. I believe she's on Zoom, so that's Carrie Sullivan. I'd like to also acknowledge all of the community support we got on this committee. A lot of really great enthusiasm and great ideas, and placemaking doesn't work without community buy-in at all. So I appreciate everyone who attended and participated very much. So placemaking, we were focused on ideas that support opportunities for people to gather. So plazas for events, landscaping, signage, and the character of the Miracle Mile. So our first idea, and perhaps the one that I've heard come up the most, is a potential plaza. The main location people are bringing up is at Tuxedo and Pacific. So this could be fully or partially closed. We could introduce retractable bollards, so it's easy to close if we want to close down that whole area for a market, and incorporate a potential space for pop-up events or music on the mile, as was brought up earlier, and would also help mitigate some current safety issues with crossing at that location. All right, the second idea is maintain and enhance the historic character of the mile. So that would mean all the design elements, sidewalk treatments, planters, lighting, signage, and landscaping would all support and bolster a unified character for the Miracle Mile. The consistency in design would help create a sense of place, and potential to give a nod to the history while enhancing and beautifying. So the next idea would be creating activity or activity-oriented spaces and public art projects to help further engage the community, not only in business development and in those areas, but also in our placemaking and how the Miracle Mile looks. So some activity-oriented spaces that came up was, permanent chess tables, ping pong tables, or kind of mini rec areas. So this would be something that would be low cost for the public to use, for the public benefit, to help generate some activity here on the mile, or over there on the mile. Another idea for that was a public arts program that would be ongoing, potentially a mural program, or even just painting junction boxes, things like that, to engage a local art community. So the next idea would be creating a threshold for the Miracle Mile. So this, I think there's multiple zones to the Miracle Mile, and this is just something that would make you know that you've arrived. Kind of an indicator that you're here in a different district and it has its own character and sense of place. It could acknowledge a historic element, perhaps from the Miracle Mile, or even just the greater Stockton community. And the last idea would be introduce and implement an enhanced landscape plan. So introducing consistent trees and planting to reinforce the sense of place on the mile, but also maximizing the tree canopy for shade and comfort, and also implementing water-wise and low-maintenance planting so that we can keep a very lush and green feeling environment on the mile. That's all I have. Thank you. Gonna pass it on for security and lighting with Jeff.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Gamboni. I'm a landscape architect and have offices on Pacific Avenue, and I'm a native of Stockton and have a lifelong love affair with the Miracle Mile. I want to acknowledge my committee. I want to thank everyone who's participating, who are free with their ideas and devoted time to it and shared their thoughts and evaluated all the ideas, and we worked together well, and I appreciate it so much because we couldn't have all these ideas presented tonight without their assistance. I want to dive right in security and lighting, SNL, first idea, create, increase, and improve lighting in all areas of the Miracle Mile. So important. Without all these improvements that we're talking about, if we don't have security and lighting, it's not going to work. We save the best for last. We need to increase lighting in parking lots around Caldwell Park, from Alpine Avenue to Castle Street, and all underlit areas. Studies performed by the Department of Transportation indicate that over 76% of pedestrian-related fatalities occurred after dark. Increased lighting not only improves safety, it makes us feel safer, and it helps us make better decisions that affect our safety. We're going to be looking at best practices for lighting, including measures to limit light pollution, and also, of course, specifying energy-efficient lights, and also looking at the temperature, that is the color of the light that's being emitted. We know that lighting must be appropriate to the scale. Pedestrian scale for sidewalks with shorter poles, narrow street scale with taller, and wide street scale with poles up to 10 to 12 meters in height. Parking lots and alleys might also benefit from wall-mounted fixtures that can over-illuminate areas, making them less desirable for the loitering and the camping and open defecation that sometimes occurs on the avenue. We want to install string lights along the Miracle Mile, crossing the street in front of businesses. These string lights have a universal appeal, and they project a festival-like atmosphere and create an inviting ambiance in commercial districts. We also talked about lighting around Caldwell Park and Alpine to Castle. We want lighting along the street at Caldwell Park that would address the scary black hole that pedestrians fear as they walk along the east side at night. The second big idea is the use of cameras. So we want to foster a secure dining and retail environment. We think the camera system, in conjunction with physical patrols, is going to make a huge difference. Actually, I want to announce that the Miracle Mile Community Improvement District has begun 2 allied programs this month to tackle this topic, both security cameras and physical patrols. The district is installing 27 security cameras from Harding Way to Castle at their own expense. The cameras will be monitored and images recorded. The monitors will interact with the security team, including new ambassadors who have begun work this month. Videos are already being circulated of their positive interaction with our urban campers, which is very exciting. 3 types of cameras have been specified. Those include 180-degree cameras, which are the ones that are in blue, AI object classification cameras in green, and heavy-duty PTZ, that's pan, tilt, zoom cameras in red. The camera program is not comprehensive. It needs to be augmented with many more cameras to include Harding Way, Pacific Avenue, north of Castle, Caldwell Park, as well as parking lots and alleys. A study will be underway soon to determine what additional cameras are needed to complete the coverage. Final topic, SL20. We believe that by securing dumpsters with locked, lidded enclosures, that we would be eliminating some of the problems that we have in the evening. We want to secure dumpsters with roofed enclosures with locked doors. We think it'd be a great deterrent to mischief, including dumpster diving, dumpster fires, and squatting. Urban campers pull items from trash for recycling and warming fires, and generally scrounging, which fosters the appearance of mayhem. If dumpster design also includes adjacent landscaping, we believe the general effect of the enclosure can be softened and contribute to the greening effect. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you to all the subcommittee members and to the chairs for the excellent presentations. This gives you just an indication of the tip of the iceberg of the work that everybody's been doing. A couple of items to note. There were several ideas generated that focused on Caldwell Park. After review by subcommittees, then discussed by the ad hoc, it was decided that Caldwell Park touched on elements from all the subcommittees, so those ideas are being extracted from the existing subcommittees to be evaluated by a new subcommittee that will only focus on Caldwell Park. We think it's a important enough feature in public space within the Miracle Mile that it needs its own attention because it's got a lot of possibility And with possibilities are positive opportunities and threats. And I think we've been experiencing more threats than positive opportunities. So we're looking forward to doing a deeper dive into Caldwell Park. The evaluated list of concepts is not final. We will continue to research to determine feasibility, and some concepts may be combined that are similar in impact. And just to reiterate, the subcommittee chairs only highlighted a few concepts. You will have an opportunity to respond to the full list with any questions or comments. And we welcome your feedback. Next, before we get into public comment, we are graced with the presence of our assembly member, Carlos Villapudoa. And Carlos, I know that you want to make some comments. Would you like to do that now, or would you like to wait until after the public comment? Okay, very good. I guess we can then move on to public comments. So we're set up here in the middle of the room. We've got a time frame that public comments can be made, questions asked, and or comments made. And when you reach that time, I think the timer will go off. So I'm going to turn it over to Joey and Linda to manage this next process. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. This is the crowd participation part. This is where we need your voices. Just as they've outlined all the work and commitment that's come in from the ad hoc, but also the public being part of those subcommittees, this is where we need your input. And so, just like Kevin said, we only highlighted about 5 ideas. You have the full list in front of you. What we'd like you to do is on the right-hand side, I guess your right side, go ahead and line up, and then we'll have you come up to the podium. You'll each have about 2 minutes to speak, ask questions, share comments, give any feedback that you'd like to help further these ideas. And then we will also be cutting back and forth to those that are virtual participants if they have any comments and questions or feedback that they'd like to give. Those of you that have been here in past meetings know how much fun I have with the timer. My kids know how much fun I have with this timer. And so it'll be in plain sight and view for those of you that step up to the podium. So do we have any takers? All right, and go ahead and state your name, and then you've got 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is David Cruz. I am a business owner of Miracle Mile, and I'm happy to see all the improvements that are being planned. But one of the things that concern me is the maintenance of Miracle Mile after this project ends, because we are not tackling the root causes that are riddling Miracle Mile, which is the homelessness, which is mentally ill individuals, drug addiction, etc., that are the causes that actually bring the breakings into the businesses that are driving business owners out of Miracle Mile. So within this planning, I also hope that we plan on tackling the root causes of these issues and not just put a Band-Aid over the over what we're experiencing in Miracle Mile. But nonetheless, thank you everyone for all the work that you're doing and for all the planning. It's greatly appreciated.
I don't have a lot of stuff. I'm Jason Laurenti. Many of you guys know me. I'm the manager of Av on the Mile, on the Miracle Mile. I'm also a vendor, beverage service vendor for several of the businesses on the Miracle Mile. As Kevin Doherty mentioned earlier, Miracle Mile is a big artery for the city of Stockton. It's a major thoroughfare. I have a very unique perspective. As I've mentioned in the meetings in the past, I get to see everything that happens on the Miracle Mile. I probably spend 10 to 15 hours a day on the Miracle Mile. Bring up 3 incidents. Everybody knows a little bit about the past where Kevin Hernandez and I lost one of our employee members due to speed on December 17th. At 2:45 p.m., it was raining outside. I witnessed a fire truck go about 60 miles an hour up the Miracle Mile headed north where it was going. It was raining pretty hard. Definitely wasn't a fire. And last Monday at 5:08 p.m., or last Tuesday at 5:08 p.m., I witnessed 4 sheriff vehicles chasing a suspect at upwards of 80 miles an hour. And I'm not joking. I have had that verified with my sheriff contacts. Fortunately, the lieutenant on duty called off the pursuit because of the dangers. So I guess my question is probably for like Paris and Kevin Doherty with the mobility type thing. What is the city of Stockton and emergency services and Caltrans perspective on the traffic calming ideas that we are coming up with? What type of communication has been developed with the committee and those 3 entities?
Does anyone want to respond or?
Wasn't sure if we were going to be responding to the questions immediately, but what I can tell you is that candidly, we're not in a fluid conversation with the city regarding solutions right now. We're identifying the problems, and as we identify the problems, we're also identifying what the solutions to those problems are, and we will be taking our ideas along with solutions to the city of Stockton, talking to the city manager, but you can be assured we have the public works director here. He's listening. Hopefully he's taking notes, and we're advocating for change. That's why we're going through this exercise, is because we're in vital need for the existence of the Miracle Mile and its future for positive change. So relative to working with the city and emergency services and all that, it's been a topic of ours, and we'll be discussing that with the city relative to maintenance and social issues. The first question, that's a hot topic for us as well. And I can't tell you we have a solution, but I can tell you we're advocating for change so that we mitigate those social issues on the Miracle Mile, because they're not helpful to sustainable businesses. We identify that. Thank you for your comments. Yes, Howard?
This is directed to the public. As one member of the committee, and I'm sure others would agree, I'm hoping that some of you would comment on your position or opinion on the issue of using or revising Caldwell Park, dividing it up for events and recreation and markets versus Tuxedo Park. And I'm hoping that we can get some of your opinions on that so that we can use that in the future.
Thank you.
I just
Yes,
want to
Rex.
point out to the city of Stockton that the assemblyman has done his part. We are doing our part. And now it's all going to come to the city of Stockton to do its part, especially considering the first comment. We need help as far as security. We need help with the homeless situation. And Miracle Mile really needs the city to be the engine and the driving force. We have opportunity right now. The biggest complaint always from the city used to be funds. The assemblyman has provided the funds. You have the input from people on the Miracle Mile. You have input from everything. The ball is going to end up in the city of Stockton's part to do their part to improve Miracle Mile and bring it back to what it surely should be. Thank you.
And just to piggyback on that, I want to say, and Jean brought it up, and Kevin and our committee, as we've gone through a lot of the listening from various city observations, and we've gone through the meetings online with San Diego, Livermore, Long Beach, LA, Santa Monica, thank you, Diana, and other cities that have gone through redevelopment, it was astonishing. And the one thing that they all said in common is they had city buy-in. So the Miracle Mile needs the city buy-in. And so on that note, yes, Rex, I understand that, and I think we all get that, and I think we have it, but the community is very important to speak up as well.
My name is Michael Maderi. I'm a professor at University of the Pacific. I'm on the Mobility Subcommittee as well. I just want to emphasize that there's a theme of having access with our students to the Miracle Mile. And many, if not most of our students don't have personal vehicles. So I know there's a question about how these bike lanes are going to look. If we don't have nice protected bike lanes, I really fear they won't be used. So I just want to voice I want to urge you to take seriously the idea that we need a separated, safe bike lane for students to use to get back and forth. Thanks.
And I'll just add to Michael's comment, the university has also now made available to the students on campus electric vehicles, electric bikes. So they're there for the students to use. So now they have the mobility, now we need the safe way to get them to the mile.
Thank you. If anyone does have any other questions or comments, everyone's mentioned, please voice your opinion. We want your feedback. We want your thoughts. That way we can add to it. Go ahead and line up. We are going to check in virtually and see what comments are coming in.
Thank you, Joey. We have a couple comments from our virtual audience. One of them mentioning eliminating the mile as a route for emergency vehicles would be detrimental to residents in need or emergency services. Every minute a fire burns, it doubles in size. Fire engines and trucks use lights and sirens to alert patrons, pedestrians that they are coming through. We put a dumpster fire out at Valley Brew about a week ago that was burning up against the building, and I had breached a window. Had we needed to take another route or slow down, it would have spread inside and caused a lot more damage than it actually did. They further say these comments are in response if a response is needed, perhaps if not, to the complaint of emergency vehicles using Miracle Mile as a route. We just received a new comment saying, has there been any discussions with the city about increased security and or police presence along the Miracle Mile, including officer patrols on bicycle or foot, particularly on weekends?
Chad, is that something you can respond to, or we respond to it afterwards?
Yeah, so my responses are not necessarily on the city as a whole, but, Public Works in particular, right? And so taking good notes here to be able to get them back to the right departments and have good, productive conversation.
So to that comment or question in particular, if we can get responses for those will go into the meeting minutes. That way we can reference back to it, just like the website that we've been looking at or directing all of your attention to. Go ahead and visit that website, Caltrans website, and we'll share that again at the end of the meeting. That way you can access these responses.
I also want to say in regards to response times for emergency vehicles, anything we do will go through due process of being seen by fire department and police department. And they aren't going to approve anything that reduces response times, and we don't want to propose anything that does. So I think these are just kind of our wish list. And, everything gets vetted and changed as it moves through the process of approvals. So I wouldn't see us introducing any issues in that sense, hopefully.
Thanks. More comments, more feedback, more opinions. Everyone's got an opinion, and we want to hear from you. Since we are ahead of schedule, we actually have time that we could hear from every single one of you. So feel free to step up and please state your name. And you've got 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Don Yamada. I live in the area of the Pacific and Regent. And specifically, I wanted to acknowledge Mr. Seligman for recognizing Caldwell Park. I think it's excellent to recognize it as a possible music venue for gatherings of persons. I think there's a special connections to people and grass and music, the kind you sit on. And I think without having to bring out chairs, tuxedo would be an aberration. I think the parking, the onslaught of a lot of persons bringing out chairs and goodies, I think the greenery of the park makes sense. So recognizing that as a specific area for entertainment really makes sense. Thank you.
Daniel Walker. I live off Stockton. I also work at the University of the Pacific. I wanted to echo a lot about the Caldwell Park. My wife likes to take my son there a lot, but she has issues with if she doesn't feel comfortable when I'm not around, because she's been chased by homeless people and like harassed. And so if she sees people there that are, they don't have kids, they're sitting at the bench having there's a shopping cart and everything, she turns around and she goes home because it's just not safe for her to take my son there. I think there needs to be a lot of ideas that focus in there. Something like the music, but also improving the diversity of what's there. Like a lot of parks, there's like exercise equipment that some parks might have, which encourage older people, like not just children, to come to the park. And if we have adults from the neighborhood that are there, exercising throughout the day, because there's a lot of retired individuals in this area. It improves the security of the park during the daytime hours, because now there's responsible adults that, if they see something, they're going to say something. They're not just going to ignore it. There's going to be an enhanced safety instead of just being, there's one woman by herself and some crazy person yelling at her. It's going to be, there's now a woman there and there's 3 other men that are going to hopefully step up or at least say something or make it so that individuals that might harass others will think twice. But I'm out of time, but there's a lot of improvements to be had at Caldwell Park that can improve safety and encourage walking too. Thank you.
My daughter changed the ringtone. Daniel, if after we hear from a couple other voices, if you'd like to get back in line, you're welcome to add 2 more minutes to your clock. Any other comments coming in virtually?
No comments currently.
All right. Any other opinions, feedback, questions? Oh, great. Go ahead and start. Yep. Introduce yourself.
My name is Verona Sator. I'm an employee at University of the Pacific, and I also served on the placemaking committee. And I have a very lighthearted comment, but I thought it would be nice to have maybe a gentle volume of music throughout the Miracle Mile at businesses, all the businesses. It's just a gentle thing. It'll keep you interested and moving along so that you have music even when you don't have a music event in other areas of the mile. Thank you.
So I wanted to expand on that because we did discuss that in business development, along with under the soffits with the signage. We also did discuss speakers throughout with the universal music throughout, which brings everything together, which would be great. And yes, that is a great idea, and we hope to have that as well, as we can pipe in, if there's everything on one stream, we can pipe it into one stream, and that's what it is. And we can do it for holidays, and that's excellent. And yes, that should be happening. So thank you so much.
And if you've had the opportunity to visit downtown Phoenix, what they do is they pipe in singing birds. So that way you don't have to worry about who's different musical tastes, right?
So for our 4th and final meeting, we will make sure that music or singing birds are piped into this room. And let's check in virtually.
We have a comment mentioning, has the committee had any discussions with new potential anchor tenants interested in coming to Miracle Mile based on these improvements? For example, Apple Store or other.
So we've not had any discussions with potential new businesses. I can tell you I personally have tried to reach out to a few that I've seen in other cities to see if they're interested in coming with, so far, no response. I have reached out to the folks in the city, and they're giving us information on sort of the business development packages that you guys have on why we want to, on how we can sell sort of the Miracle Mile and Stockton in general to try to bring new businesses here. So long answer or short answer is that we're gonna work together with the city to try to market the opportunities more broadly. It's obviously, the mile's very different than a Lincoln Center or a commercially managed center where all that is marketed. It's individual owners who have different real estate agents, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But we are hoping that through the efforts of the community district in the city, that we can bring some more businesses to the mile.
I just want to say thank you all for coming. You're valuable here to us. We are listening, we are paying attention, and throughout this entire process, please know that all of us feel that safety and security are the primary reasons that we are all here. So we know that that's foremost on your mind, the safety and security of this area, because all the rest of it won't matter unless it's safe and secure. So be mindful that even though we have a lot of ideas, we are all keeping that first and foremost in our mind. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I have a question. My name is Gina Valadez Bracamonte, and I wonder if anybody knows what is going to be built where the old Stockton Royal was, and how will that play into this development of the Miracle Mile?
I think I should answer that one. The final product or the final building that is going to be building has not been decided yet. We are still waiting on, I'm one of the owners of that location. We're still waiting for the billboard company to move the billboard. The idea, whatever we do put there, is something that's going to be consistent with what the classic Miracle Mile is. We own other properties on Miracle Mile, on Tuxedo, Doris, and Pacific Avenue. We understand for whatever we build, is going to be commercial and like a housing mix, and we are hoping it'll be very consistent, and we're planning to be very consistent with the rest of the mile, so that with all this money and all this new development that's put in on Pacific Avenue, that we can add to the value of the Miracle Mile. Thank you.
Other comments, questions, feedback, opinions? We want to hear from it. Step on up. Share your name.
Hi, my name's Lena Hall. I just bought my first home here about 6 months ago. I love Stockton. I'm very excited to see the Miracle Mile be revamped. One thing I just kind of wanted to throw out there is I think it's really important that we have places like Caldwell Park available. You know, I spent my late teens, early 20s, former Delta student, having those third places to go, and having a park somewhere that's free is really, really important. I have a lot of nieces who are looking at colleges soon, and Stockton's not even on their mind because it's not a college town to them. So I think having something in the area could really, really help out, especially free third places, because they're just not available anymore. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Denise Aguilar Mendez. I'm a lifelong resident here in San Joaquin County. I just want to thank you guys for really doing this. I've been looking at Miracle Mile, I'm sure we all have, wanting something to happen here, because Stockton is a home of small families, small businesses. This is a place that we really want families to come and live and stay and redistribute their wealth here. So I'm just very thankful for the work that you guys are doing, and for the Caldwell Park to keep it free, keep a lot of opportunities for our young people. And I'm very excited to hear that security is one of the biggest issues, because once we fix that, we're going to be able to bring the families to the parks and to the events. So again, I just want to say thank you for the time that you have spent on this project. My family is very excited to start joining Miracle Mile when it's done. Thank you.
Start my timer. Hi, I'm County Supervisor Paul Canepa, and this is my district. I want to commend you all. This is very professional. I mean, the work that you're doing is amazing, and the people that you've got gathered to do it has been amazing. Thank you, Carlos, for getting the 20 million. Just a few things. How far does $20 million go? Be careful. The more you have buses stop on the road, the bigger divots that they put. So if you are going to do that, reinforce where buses are going to be. Color be careful. Yellow lighting is not as bright as white lighting, and if you're worried about security and safety, go with white lighting. I know yellow, it looks prettier and it does a better job, but if you're trying to, worried about roaches, they go away when it's brighter. Behavioral health, we're working on that. Today we took a big step, or yesterday, putting the homeless task force under probation. So we're taking a step forward to deal with the behavioral health. A couple weeks ago we went down to Orange County and saw Be Well. It's a mental health facility to try to help and triage what you do. There will be a garage. We have 85 million. We need 135 million. Carlos, if you could help us out there, we need $55 more million to address that. CMC goes out, instead of bringing guns and a badge with this $5.5 million pilot program, nowhere to take them. So they go out and triage, and we have nowhere to take them. So I appreciate what you all are doing. The county's listening. I've sent Gina. I couldn't make it, so I didn't want to steal anybody's thunder because I hate when politicians go and politic. So I'm here. I was born on Hunter Street, Boris Park, lifelong Stocktonian. Went to El Dorado School, Taco Charlie, Seas Candy, Rathgeb's, Conrad's, newsstand. I'm old school Stocktonian, so keep up the good work.
Any other comments? Any other opinions? Any other feedback? Any other questions? We welcome any and all. This is the second to last call. I'll make one more call.
Hello, I'm Antonia Hernandez, and I am a born and raised resident here of Stockton, and also with the University of Pacific and on a couple of the panels. I have a couple thoughts. There was a partnership that you mentioned with Miracle Mile and maybe with the local schools too, like Lincoln Center does, like with the trick-or-treating with maybe El Dorado School. That would be fun to see. It'll be safer then, and I think it's pretty close. There's a gate that might be adjacent to Bank of America or something. So that's one thought. And then another thought with Caldwell Park, excuse me, I have my allergies, is like a rec center for roller skating. So to make it multi-universal for roller skating, even like dancing, music, of course, but like maybe amphitheater style, putting like seats in there perhaps, and making just a floor of cement area and doing something like that. That's it. Thank you.
All right, so there is a bit of a delay with the virtual folks, so just want to make a last call for virtual participants. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and enter them into the chat, and we'll circle back with you just because there is a bit of a delay. So I'm going to check in here. I see someone's coming back up for a second time. Charles, why don't you go ahead?
All right, I'll try to be quick. So I'm Charles Carroll, District 10 Active Transportation Portfolio Manager with Caltrans. I just want to put in a plug for BD-32 under business development. Obviously, that's going to be a local decision depending on the market, depending on highest and best use analysis, property managers. That's all that has to be made as far as decisions go locally. But I'll just put in a plug for that idea because there's plenty of discussion about safety and security, and what will help is people living in that area. So when you have that opportunity to have mixed use, having residences above restaurants, however exactly that configuration is going to work out, it's going to be a benefit because when people live there effectively 24/7, that's eyes on the street. It's that Jane Jacobs model of indirect ways, soft ways to improve safety and security, the feeling of being safer and more secure. That improves when people are living there, when people are there pretty much all the time. And when you have mixed uses, like residences right there within the retail, within the commercial component of the Miracle Mile, that'll help create that kind of environment where people will feel safer and people will be safer because there's more people there just seeing things going on. So just a plug for that item. Thanks.
This is half a comment. Daniel Walker again. This is half a comment for everyone, and then the last part is a question. First comment is I was on the placemaking committee, and we did the walkthrough of Minor Street to see equivalent like length of road that was redeveloped and redesigned, and that was around the same budget. And my comment about that is that that it looks nice, and I think they did a good job, but it's not going to cover everything that and all the ideas we want. This is a lot of money, but when we get down to it, it's not going to accomplish every single thing that we're trying to accomplish. And it's just an unfortunate truth. So my question from that is, how do we, for the things that don't make it, because there's just not infinite money, how do we get the city, or how do we leverage this to make sure it happens in the future? So if Caldwell Park doesn't get touched because there just isn't enough money, how do we get that to develop? If not enough lights get put in because there's not enough money, how do we get that in the future? Or like any of these great ideas that if they just don't make it because there's just not enough money, how do we get any of these great ideas to be accomplished in the future when this project is completed? Thank you.
Do you want to respond now, or that was actually a great segue question? Do you want to respond now, or okay?
I'm going to start it, and then I'm going to refer to Kevin Doherty after that. Those are all. That's I think a main topic, and that was one of the major topics of our discussion at a couple of the last meetings. What I will say is, I believe from this money we need more grants, right? So from the development, from the business development point of view, when I said that we might go into that physical location of a business area and a business incubator, so call it. One of those ideas was how to get more grant funding and a grant writer. We need that money to get us more money for the phases that we're going to be doing. So the most impact, let's say when you walk down to the Miracle Mile, what we don't want to do, and we've done this, Stockton has done this before, go, oh, that looks great, and that doesn't, and that looks great, and that doesn't. We don't want to do hodgepodgey. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure when you arrive somewhere, you're arriving, you go, I've arrived at the Miracle Mile, okay? Number two, then we need to get into phases, okay? We need to touch on that Caldwell Park. If we don't get it done in the first phase, we have the grant money then to do the second phase and the third. But we will get there. Kev?
Kevin gave you the overview. And
It's a quick one.
And I'm not going to repeat it. I think what it boils down to and what you want to hear is that all the ideas that we expect to see manifested, we want to shove them all into the design phase of our vision for the future. We won't have enough money to complete the vision of the future. However, if we include it in the design phase and we get everything paid for and designed, now we're shovel ready. And those of you that have been involved in grant writing know that if you got a project that's shovel ready, then you go to the city, Public Works, and you put pressure on them and get them to get the grant money to do the next phase and the next phase. And so our partners, the city of Stockton and COG, we expect that they'll work with us to grant write once we can prove to them that we're shovel ready. So it's going to be, that's the process of make sure everything that you want to do, including Caldwell Park, is included in all this design work, so we get it all designed, because that design element, as our landscape architect here can attest, takes time and takes a lot of money. And we're going to get that, that's what we're committed to doing, making sure that our ultimate vision gets accomplished in the design phase, so that phase one will happen because we have the money, and then we burn through the money. We've got shovel-ready designs for phase 2 and for phase 3. And it's like the Minor Street project. It was a $15.5 million project that ended up costing 22.5. And that was my question to the project manager as we're walking up and down Minor Street. So where did the other $7 million come from? And she clipped it off. It was all grant written by the city. So 15.5 say the feds gave it to the city, and the city said we need another 7. They grant wrote, and they got that 7 million because they had an overall vision that was designed, and it was shovel ready, and they were successful in securing monies through grant writing. Chad, do you want to add to that?
Man, you guys did so good. I don't know how I could top that. I mean, that was perfect. So it's absolutely true. You know, it's all about having the right plan in place, right? And that phased approach in realizing, you know, we want to have a beautiful project when we're done, and it's going to take time and money to get there, right? But let's invest up front in making sure it's what we want.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Diane, I think you wanted to.
Just on this topic, someone brought up the fact of perhaps like an exercise route in Caldwell Park. The committee that's focusing on Caldwell Park, this has already been brought up, and a suggestion was made from the group that there is a particular hospital locally that has grants available for that type of thing. So when we get to that point, please know that we're thinking outside the box on how we can achieve some of these ideas that include partnering grants. So it's being thought of. Thank you, though, for bringing it up, because it just reinforces for us that there is community interest in doing something like that.
All right, we've got another voice in the room.
Hi, thank you. My name is Lisa Cooperman. I also work at the University of the Pacific. And going kind of from the big picture to the very granular, I was also one of the artists who created the benches that are currently on the Miracle Mile. Love them or hate them. I don't know what the plan is for their future. But that project was funded by the city's 1% for Art, which was for capital improvement projects. So my question is this project eligible for those funds from the city? And is the city still, in fact, administering those kinds of projects?
Chad, we'll let you field that one.
Yeah, you know, I don't have the exact answer for that, but I'm taking good notes, so we'll get back to you guys.
Super. Thank you.
I'd just like to say one other thing. The first and the foremost, especially in mine and a lot of other committee members, is security and lighting. And security and light, unless and until we can bring all business back to the Miracle Mile, where every shop is rented out, and there is a lot of commerce. Commerce will bring development. And Caldwell Park, I think, is a really good idea. Everybody is saying. I think that's something that the city of Stockton should be funding and doing, away from what we are concentrating. Our concentration and our funds are to revitalize Miracle Mile. Caldwell Park is a fantastic place, but everybody, including us, should be lobbying and pressuring the City Council of Stockton that has so much money that they put in different projects, including downtown. They spend so much money on downtown. Their results have been very limited. Some of those funds, especially the park being so close to UOP, that park should be done into something outside the box, something that's fantastic, somewhere where all the students can hang out, other people can go to. But for that kind of money and that kind of funding should come absolutely from the city of Stockton. The city of Stockton is responsible for maintaining all the parks of in the city, and that is part of it. Now, if you're going to take funds out of what the assemblyman has worked so hard to get for us to bring and revitalize the street, if we take those funds over there, we're not even going to be able to do a few blocks. $20 million sounds a lot, but by the time we do the lighting, the streets, more cameras, have people watching and maintaining all that stuff, that money is going to be gone. We can't depend on grants and stuff, but we have to be very focused on where we're going to start, what we want to do. The biggest and the most important thing is security and lighting, homeless, mental health. And unless and until we cannot control that, like they're saying, the fires all over the place, unhoused people are creating them. There's no place, the police doesn't do anything, they don't respond. there's no place they take them unless, I mean, that's a great, I commend the Board of Supervisor over here that they're fighting to bring money in. I mean, we had to tear half the building down, the one on, because the homeless were breaking so much into it, and they destroyed it within days. And we were pushing out 7 to 10 people a night out, and the city, with the limited resources, didn't really send police to help us. And after a little while, we said, tear it down. And that's why we tore the whole building down, otherwise we were just going to tear half the building on the Stockton Road. My comment on my rambling is, unless or until people feel safe to bring themselves, their children and their families to Miracle Mile to shop, to eat, and to walk, none of this is going to work. And we have very limited funds. And we have to be very, very careful as a committee where the funds are going to start. Kevin said a very good, Hernandez said a very good point. It has to be done in phases. The first phase absolutely has to be made safe. It has to be lit up. Students and people have to feel safe walking that night. Bike patrols, all that stuff. We have to lobby the city hard. Including this committee, we have to meet them. The general public has to, all of you people have, good people have to absolutely pressure the city council to step up the game as far as the Miracle Mile. We need Miracle Mile as a magnet for Stockton.
Thanks, Rex.
Thank you.
I just want to check, Linda and Joe, do we have any other outside comments?
No, actually, Rex's comments is a good segue.
I wanted to say something, that's why I'm.
Oh, okay, yeah. The questions and comments that have come in are actually because of the delay already been addressed through other questions that have come up in the room. Okay. So they should probably hear that in the next couple minutes, which they'll hear this in the next couple minutes too. So Jean, go ahead.
So the assembly member, I'm pretty sure it came from you, sent us another study of another city that went through recent transformations. And it was very interesting to see, and we'll share it with everyone, the before and after picture. It very much imagined kind of what we have now and what could be. And what I took away from it, and I don't know how many of you picked up on this, was the comment that said we did this in 8 months, right? So that's what I took away from that, because I wanted to bring that up here today. Because what I do think is important is that we act with a sense of urgency, that everybody act with a sense of urgency. We've heard today from elected officials that are here and are here to support and have supported. So we have elections coming up right now. Just in this district, District 4, we're gonna have a new person sitting in that seat. I'm gonna ask all of you to get smart about who's running, ask the right questions, and to vote, and to make sure that we have people in those positions that are gonna support us to bring this forward. Thank you.
Sorry, we just have one last thing. Member Willipud was running for state senate.
Rex, I'm going to ask you to stop that. Yep, thank you. And we're going to delete that 10 seconds from the live stream on YouTube. Thanks, Rex. But actually, that is a great segue to our next steps. And Jean kind of teed it up with what we need to do as far as being activists. Rex said something that he shouldn't have. And I'm going to hand it over to Kevin and Jean to talk about next steps and what that means.
Okay, very good. Moving forward, we will take feedback from tonight's meeting and integrate it into concepts that we shared today for further consideration. The subcommittees will continue to research and develop these concepts to identify the pros and cons of the design concepts, get a cost estimate or range, and mitigate any risks we can see this early in the process. Once we have more information, the ad hoc will take a holistic view of all the developed concepts to prioritize into phases based on what would be the most impactful for our current funding. Phase 1, most impactful to spend $23 million. And I know, and I'm not going to take somebody's thunder, so I'm just going to say, I know we have 20, and we'll have somebody speak on that. The other 3 I expect we'll have, but I know that we have 3, the first 20, and we'll let somebody again talk about that. Hopefully, we do have the entire 23 million, and when I make my comment, I like to know that the money's in the bank, then I know we really have it. Phases 2 and 3, these concepts would be if additional funding is secured. And I'm reading this, and I'm letting you know that's our role, is to advocate and make sure that we're working with our partners, that they will write grants for that money, because we've done our homework and we've included everything that's in our vision in the design plan, and we have design plans for that vision. At the next public meeting, we will have a final report to vote on that includes the prioritized list of concepts that will be given to the city. That's the direction that we'll be giving the city. We have invited the city's acting director of public works, Chad Reed, to share the city's process once we do hand over this report. Chad has been participating in our working sessions and public meetings and has been a great resource for us. Following Chad, we will also invite the acting deputy director for planning from Caltrans to share the status of the $20 million in state funds that are being transferred to the city. Due to timing, we will not be able to take questions, but you are welcome to submit questions to Stockton Miracle Mile at dot.ca.gov. Okay, at this point, we're going to invite Chad to provide some comments on the process once we conclude and give our recommendations to the city of Stockton. Thank you, Chad.
Yeah, thank you all so much for the kind introduction, and I hope to keep that same enthusiasm going throughout this project, right? So, and on behalf of Harry, you know, our city manager apologizes for not being here. I think this is the first meeting he's missed, so I know he had travel plans, and so. Okay, so ask for an overview of the project, right, from the city standpoint. Like, how does it work? So what we do is we take the general scope that the committee comes up with, right, the public comes up with, and then we begin the design RFP, right? So we'll bring a designer on, right? We'll put out a request for a proposal. Once we get that, we'll start in phases. So we'll take that initial design or that initial scope, and they'll start to design with it. And they'll take it to a certain percentage, they'll say 30%, right? And then we'll have public outreach meetings, and so everybody will be able to comment and see the plans and see how the development's going. And that's our opportunity to maybe fine tune either a phase or an idea, or hopefully at that time we have the overall scope, like the directional portion of it outlined. From there it'll go to 60%, right? And we'll get another chance to have a public meeting, so and public input and comment, so that we make sure we're heading in the right direction. And then at that point, the designer will finish up the plans, and then we'll go out for a couple of different things at that time, right? So we'll go out for a construction management RFP, and we'll go out for a construction RFP, right? And so we'll have a company that comes in and oversees the projects as it goes through the phases, and then we'll go out for a contractor to come in and actually build out the project. So from a 10,000 foot level, right, that's kind of how the process rolls. Kevin, anything you want me to expand on that?
Let me ask you a question just for the public.
Sure.
What is the timeline that you just described?
Well, it's government time, right? So. Absolutely. So what we do is, it depends when we get that general scope, right? And so we have to go out for an RFP, right? So we have to write a staff report, and we have to put this out to bid, and we have to evaluate, and review the bids that come in. We go to council, they award the design contractor, and then they start to work, right? So it takes time, right? It takes time. That's what it is, right? So you have to have a certain time that you post a bid for. So usually on something of this size, it's 3 to 6 weeks, depending on 3 to 6 weeks is probably a normal time frame. And then when we get the bid results back, we have to evaluate them and make sure, you know, the people bidding are qualified to do the work that they're bidding on. Then, you know, there's opportunities there to kind of, you know, maybe speed up the process, you know, getting the staff report to council. They have to award it. And then we have to validate that contract, you know, so it goes through our city process and we get the designer on board. And then, you know, we start putting pen to paper, right? So.
But you're looking, I mean, sincerely, it's probably a year just about in City Hall, perhaps?
Well, I wouldn't want to put a time frame on it right now. It honestly depends on when we start, right? And so each of those phases, they take months. You know, it just
I'm
what
aware
it
of
is.
that. I just want the audience to be aware
Yeah.
that this is not going to happen overnight.
No, ma'am, no. And realistic expectations with the money, right? I think the transparency that there is and the conversation that everyone's having is very important, because 20 million sounds like a lot of money and we're very thankful for it. But it only goes so far, right? And so being purposeful, having a plan, not just the starting plan, but what the finished plan is going to look like, right? And knowing that it's going to take steps and time to get there.
But Chad, let me ask you, so you know you're gonna get a plan shortly, in a month or two. So things don't have to be sequential, right? You could be, right now, the city could already be looking at potential design firms, who are firms that you might wanna reach out to say, we want you to bid, right? Like, we could start, the city could start some of that process now, just to accelerate things. You don't have to wait. You know what's coming. You know in general what it's gonna look like. You've heard a lot of it today, right?
True. So it's never our processes don't necessarily having a plan, not just the starting plan, but what the finished plan is going to look like, right? And knowing that it's going to take steps and time to get there. You
But
wouldn't
Chad,
want to
let me ask
necessarily go out,
So you
right,
know
until
you're gonna get a
you
plan
had something to
shortly,
put
in a
out.
month or
And
two.
so, sure, there's different firms in town that, you know, or out of town that I'm sure would be interested in this project. I don't think finding the interest is going to be the issue. It's defining the scope so
Or
that
finding
they
the
know
best
what to
firm,
do.
Right, so that if the city could invest some time now in doing some research, like who's been down this road, you know, things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a pre-qualified bidders list,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep, right.
Yeah.
And why do we have to do a 30 then a 60? Why can't we just?
Because you want to make sure that you're purposeful in the review time so that it captures everything that the project is meant to be, and you provide opportunity for public comment and feedback, so that at the end of the project, it's what everyone wanted.
Okay. Why can't you just say, here's 100% of what we're gonna do, give us feedback and we'll be back? If the feedback says to go a different way.
It's best practice to look at it in different phases, and that's what we would recommend.
And just to piggyback,
Yeah.
I sat on city planning for a while, and I do understand the length of time it takes Stockton. I always say it's Stockton time, and then there's other city time, and like our surrounding cities, Manteca, Tracy, and we're not here to beat you up by any means, Chad.
Oh, no.
But I think we've waited a long time, and I think what our group is saying, let's expedite this, we're ready to roll. Carlos Filiputa did an amazing job, we did our part. It's time for the city to do theirs, and yes, there will be new council people coming aboard. That's very important, so let's move forward with that and get this expedited. Let's work together and figure out how. There's a process, yes, but let's figure out how we can do this a little quicker. That's all.
Make it a win for everybody.
Absolutely.
Chad, to what extent will this committee have the opportunity to participate in any discussions with whoever the design consultant is going to be?
As far as there's opportunities along the way for public comment with the design.
No, I'm assuming at some point the city is going to retain the services of a design consultant, correct?
Correct.
To what extent will that company or entity be allowed to participate with this committee in connection with any questions or comments that go into that overall process once this selection is made?
Chad, Chad, can I respond to that real quick?
Absolutely.
Thanks. Given the way the charter is currently written, and this is also just knowledge for the public, the current way the charter is written is that your term is completed at the end of the report, which is hopefully in the next month or two. As previously discussed and agreed upon, actually suggested by the city manager, was that we would put an amendment into the charter, which we will have to vote on at the final public meeting, that the ad hoc work group would be called upon at the same, probably at the same milestones, which is similar to what Caltrans follows as far as standards for 30, 60, 90% completion, that you would be called on for input and review as well. And so that amendment would take place at the final, that amendment change would take place at that final meeting, which you'll have to vote on.
Can that amendment be done before the public meeting?
It can be drafted, but you have to vote on it, and it has, and because we're following Brown Act, yes, thank you. It has to be voted on at a public meeting, so you'll have to vote it here.
Will the committee have a public meeting before this last one that you've mentioned?
There, no, the last public meeting is where you'll have the report presented, and when this public meeting is announced, the report will also be available, so the public can review it before the meeting. They'll be able to come prepared to comment, and you'll also, just like we have in the past with the charter, if there's an amendment, we'll be able to figure out what the language is. That way it can be presented, the public can respond to it, you can vote to accept that amendment to the charter. Is that helpful?
So just to be clear, the life of the committee will be extended beyond the end of the report in a phase fashion.
Correct, yeah.
So the committee, just to be clear to the public and everybody on record, the committee won't be sunsetted at the end of March.
Correct, yes. Get ready, and given the way the legislation's written, it's 2028, so get ready for 4 more exciting years.
I've got a question for you, Chad. I think the operative idea that you're going to be having the project quoted and bid on is going to be the scope of work. That's really what that you've been indicating. How do you see our final report and your scope of work being married so that we feel that the direction that we're giving the city to get quotes for the vision is consistent with your scope of work? Because I don't think that we're going to create scope of work necessarily in the way that you want to see scope of work and putting it out for bid. So how does that convert? How does that translate? Do you know? This is something that I'm just considering based on your comments.
Yeah, so good question. And what I mean by is general scope, right? So we'll take the general, and we'll start getting that design first phases, right? And then we'll start putting it around through the different city departments so that it incorporates, the city's safety, like we talked about early, the fire, the police department, that kind of stuff, right? And so that's kind of that's how it all organically starts, right? And so as it moves through the different departments, we look at, what are codes, what do we need to upgrade, traffic signals or infrastructure, or kind of like when we did the Minor Avenue walk, right? You can see it, but there's also a lot that you can't see, right? And so sometimes that's what runs into some trouble, but that's the whole point of the process and the design process that we have, is so that everybody gets a chance to look at those plans. It's very transparent. Everybody's got to weigh in, and we've checked kind of all the boxes with the different city departments, right? It all starts with that general idea that you guys are putting together now. So once we have that, that's our kind of go mark to be able to give to our designer to say, okay, this is the vision. Let's start putting it on paper.
Good.
Thanks, Chad.
I'm sure we'll talk more about that. I appreciate you
Yes.
explaining that.
Thank
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Thank you, guys.
And then we wanted to transition to some discussion around the fund transfer agreement. So you're not Mark Samuelson, but Silva. So,
Sylvia, thank you.
I'm Sylvia Dyack. I'm the investment planning manager for Caltrans, and I'm going to give an update on the fund transfer agreement on behalf of Mark Samuelson. So, first and foremost, we wanted to thank the Assembly Member, Philip Padua's office for securing the funds, and also the entire committee chairs and co-chairs for working so closely together. The fund transfer agreement is the mechanism to transfer the $20 million from Caltrans to the city of Stockton. And that agreement was approved by the city council on January 23rd, and then later signed by the city on the 29th. Caltrans ended up signing the fund transfer agreement on February 2nd. And as of this morning, the funds have been encumbered. What that actually means is, at this point, the city can issue an invoice to Caltrans and request a lump sum payment of $20 million, and then move over to the process that Chad had explained.
Congratulations, everybody. That's huge.
I do want to make one observation. When it was on the city council agenda on the consent calendar, I did go in as an individual, not as under the auspices of the ad hoc committee, and made public comment. And in the 3 minutes they gave me, I said all of the right things about public-private partnerships. But rest assured, I made the point that these monies are to supplement a city budget, not supplant it. So I know it's not a lot of money to get everything we want to get done, but it will be that seed money to go and make happen what we believe is going to happen. So I left the meeting pretty optimistic. There was a lot of nodding heads with the mayor and the city council. And again, it was very well received. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any more comments? Sylvia, any more?
I don't have any more comments or updates.
Well, I think once you say that the money's encumbered, that sounds like it's as good as been deposited. That's just the next step, but being encumbered makes us pretty whole.
It's basically available, yes.
Yes.
So all it takes at this point is for the city to process that invoice through local assistance, and then
And ask for the money.
ask for the money. Mhm.
Yeah, so I have the invoice, and we'll be sending it over to Sylvia tonight.
Yeah.
So we've already prepared it. How's that for turnaround, Gene?
That's awesome. Awesome.
We want to say thank you. I
Thank
know
you.
there was a lot of us, and the public too. We got a lot of calls. I know I did. Is this really happening? So tonight we can say it's really happening.
It's
Thank
really
you, thank
happening.
you, thank you. Thanks to Giuseppe for keeping us grounded. I think there were times we want to pull out our hair and go, well, wait a minute. But thank you so much, all of you. And the
And
group.
I want to let the Assembly Member have the closing
And
remarks.
Carlos.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and through the chair. And I'm very thankful that the public did show up today, and I apologize. I know a lot of you did call me, ask me what was going on, and I was kind of wanted to make sure that this went through the ad hoc committee. And I don't like to violate any violations or give any promises, but I can tell you this, that this committee went through many, many steps. And it goes back a while back where we first started with staff, go attending what Pleasanton did, what other downtowns have done. And we did have the ad hoc group of the planning department from Pleasanton help us out and sit in some meetings so that they can kind of guide us so that we don't create this wheel that is new, but maybe still a wheel that will work, and then we can adjust. And this is what the team has been doing, is adjusting and putting in the time to make sure that we don't make any mistakes. But the other part of this is you and the public. Your voice, your input is very important. Every one of you have been heard, and we're going to continue to listen. This is not going to be easy. It's not something that we're going to just skip along and get it done. There's a lot of work for us to still continue. I stress out because I keep hearing that there's it's going to cost more money. Trust me, I understand that, and there is not going to be someone that's going to just walk away. We're going to look under every rock, every grant. You know, there was discussion about the firm or the project manager. When we go to interview, when that happens, we're gonna bring the best. Because a firm, what they do is they don't look at tapping into the $23 million first. They look at what grants are out there available first. If there's safe route, whatever it is, our staff is here to listen because they are also looking at that. You talked about the park. We sit on Parks and Wildlife. We look at funding for that. So this, I'm asking you guys just to be patient, and have, trust, because this group has been working. I hear from them all the time. And guess what? Sometimes yelling in my ear, and I take it in because I feel the love, I feel the history, I feel they have listened to you. You in this audience are part of that. I love the fact that I've also went to Pleasanton, and then they were excited to hear that, hey, I'm hearing about what's going on in Stockton, and we're up there we're also fighting right now to bring Valley Link in. Valley Link is to bring the rail. Why? It's because we want to get cars back home. We want those, because we have so much of our labor that leaves there to work there, but we want them back here. We want them to spend their dollars here. And that is going to bring tourism here. They want to come here as much as people want to go out of town. A lot of you go out of town to maybe spend your dollars, right? We want to keep those dollars here. We want to keep it on the centerpiece of Stockton, which is the Miracle Mile. So, I mean, I applaud you all for being here today. I applaud this committee because they've been working really, really hard. You don't hear about them all the time, but they are really meeting and talking about this. There's so many people here that this is like a legacy for them, but a legacy for this community is the most important thing. This is our community, and I'm so excited for the fact that all of you, the hours that you guys put into it. I really just wanted to say thank you and say, and lastly, really just thank the public, because without you, your input, we cannot move forward. So thank you, everyone.
You have to do the gavel then, I think.
I want to thank everybody for participating live and virtually. We've got a lot of great ideas and concepts that we still have to develop, so we're going back to work to do that. And we'll inform you of our next meeting, which will be the last public meeting. We'll get information out when we know when that's going to be. But please stay involved, stay engaged. Go to the Miracle Mile, Caltrans Miracle Mile website, and provide us with any comments additionally that you see fit. And does anybody else have any comments before we close out? Okay, thanks everybody. We have a good evening. Meeting adjourned.